4 separate revision guides on ratio. Starts with ratio problems that to do with solving and sharing, sorry. So our first question we're going to look at here says in a school there's a total of 640 children. The ratio of girls to boys is 7 to 9, and we want to work out how many boys they are. So as always when setting up a ratio problem, it's really good to get the letters in the right order. Girls to boys, so G to B, and the numbers are 7 to 9. It's also good when you're looking at ratio problems to have a total as well. So there's 7 lots of girls, 9 lots of boys, that's 16 parts in total. So what we've been told here is that the total number of children is 640. So what they're telling us here is that this total here is equivalent to 640. So the 7 parts and the 9 parts is equivalent to 640. So what we're looking for here is to work out what each part is. So the 7 and the 9 is 16. 16 parts in total. 7 here, 9 here. 16 in total. So the 640 that represents the 7 parts and the 9 parts needs to be divided by 16. 640 divided by 16 should give you 40. And that means that each one of these parts here is 40. So for the girls, we've got 7 lots of 40, which is 280. And for the boys, we have 9 lots of 40, which is 360. The question asked us how many boys there are. The final answer is 360 boys. Now that's the simplest type of question you will get, because it tells you the ratio and it tells you the whole, what all of them are worth. So there is a second question here for you to try. The second question can be tried now if you want to have a quick go at it. If you're doing this at home, you can pause the video now and we'll go through the answers in just one moment. Okay, welcome back. If you've had a go at this question, let's look at a model solution to it. So it's talking about the Paralympic Games, and it tells you the total number of gold and silver was 35. Tells you that the gold to silver is 3 to 2. So let's get these letters the right way. Gold to silver is the order of the letters. The order of the numbers is 3 to 2. And what they're telling us is the total is 35. So these 3 parts here and these 2 parts here together are equivalent to 35. And we know that the total here is 5. So what we're looking at are the 35 medals being split into 5 equal groups. So 35 divided by 5 is 7. That means that each one of the parts is 7. They want to know how many silvers we won. Silver is 2 parts. So for silver, it's 2 times 7 equals 14. And that's how we do the first one. They've given us the total. That's how we split it. Our second of 3 examples on this looks very similar. However, this time they're not giving us the total, they're giving us one of the parts. So look very carefully how we do this, please. So, Rajesh and Goody share some money in the ratio 2 to 5. Rajesh receives 240. How much does Goody receive? So watch very carefully how this is done. R, G in the ratio 2 to 5. So 2 parts for Rajesh, 5 parts. That means in total, we've got 7 parts. Now look at what they're telling us. In the question, they're telling us what Rajesh gets. So they're telling us this part here is equivalent to 240. The 2 parts that Rajesh gets are equal to 240. Not the total 7 parts, just Rajesh's 2 parts. So the 240 gets divided by 2, and that gives us 120. That means each of these parts is 120, 120, 120, 120, 120, 120. They ask us to work out what Goody receives. Those 5 parts here are 5 lots of 120. That's where we get the answer 600. So different this time. Same setup, but we have to be really careful. They give us one part of the ratio, not the total of the ratio. So that's how you do that question. There are 2 questions that you can have a go at to see how you get on. This one and this one. And again, if you're having a go at this at home, just pause the video, have a go, and then check the answers afterwards. Okay, welcome back. What we're now going to look at are these 2 solutions. So the first one, about the school, this talks about there being 75 girls in a tennis squad, and that the ratio of boys to girls is 4 to 3. So boys to girls, 4 to 3, 4 parts boys, 3 parts girls. And in the question, it's the girls that it tells us. It's these 3 parts here that are equivalent to 75. So if the 3 parts are worth 75, we can do 75 divided by 3 is 25. Each of these parts is 25. They want to know the number of boys. Boys are 4 parts. So for boys, it's 4 times 25, which is equal to 100. Nice and simple, like the example that we did first. In the second example over here, we've got 3 people, J, K, and L. Same order, J, K, and L. We have 5, 9, and 6. Now what they tell you here is that in total, Jack and Kate get 56. So we're talking about Jack and Kate. That's equivalent to 56. Now the 5 parts and the 9 parts, that's 14 parts in total, isn't it? The 5 parts and the 9 parts. So we can do 56 divided by 14, which means each one of those parts is worth 4. To work out what Leela gets 6 lots of whatever the part was, which is 4. That means Leela gets a total of 24. So those are ratio splitting problems where they give you one part, or as we saw with the J and the K here, some of the parts but not the whole. Final type of example for these types of problems is one where they give you the difference between some of the ratios. And again, we can model it in just the same way. Pritam, Sarah, Emily, so P, S, E, share some money, 3 to 6 to 4. So 3 to 6 to 4. Now, if you think about that, there's 3 parts here, 6 parts here, and 4 parts here. And what they tell you is that Sarah gets 15 more than Emily. So you're looking at the difference here. The difference between the 2 is 2 parts, isn't it? 6 parts for Sarah, 4 parts for Emily. The difference of 2 parts, that's what the $15 is. That is equivalent to $15, which means one of these is equivalent to 15 divided by 2, which is $7.50. So every single one of these parts is $7.50. And it asks us how much money Pritam gets. Pritam gets 3 parts, 3 lots of what each of the parts are worth, the $7.50. So 3 sevens is 21, 3 lots of the 50 cents is 150. That's $22.50. A very similar question to the other ones, but this time they gave you the difference between 2 of the parts. Not the whole, not one of the parts, not some of the parts, but the difference between the parts. And that's the most challenging type of question you could get when you're looking at sharing style problems for ratio. 3 types of problems, approached in the same way carefully, you'll never ever get them wrong.